guys, so for today's video, I'm going to be doing the 3-color challenge. If you are unfamiliar with what the 3-color challenge is, here's an example. You basically pick out 3 colors whilst closing your eyes from anything, like it could be a box of markers or colored pencils, whatever. And so you close your eyes, you pick 3 colors. Once you pick those colors, you are only allowed to use those 3 in your coloring sheet or illustration. Let me dive you through some of the rules of this challenge. Number 1, I am allowed to use tints and shades of each base color that I get. For example, earlier I got one of these pastel blues. If I wanted to use a darker color of this, that's okay, since it is the same base color, just a different version of it. Rule number 2 is black and white are allowed. Similar to the monochrome challenge, I am allowing black and white because, once again, they are basically just the lightest and darkest version of each color. Those are the rules, and basically the main idea is to really just stick with the 3 main colors that I get and not use anything that is too different from them. So I'm going to be using my Uhuhu markers with this, and before I pick out the colors that I am going to use for this, I actually have these color-coded, like specifically, for example, you see the reds here, the greens here, etc. I am actually going to shuffle this so that it is more fair once I am actually choosing out the colors. Also, before I begin with shuffling them, I'm going to do this while closing my eyes, once again, to just make this more fair. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, let me close my eyes. Okay, I think that is going to be good enough. Kind of sad to see them all mixed up all of a sudden, considering that I worked so hard on color coordinating them, but it's okay. It'll work better for the purposes of this challenge, so yeah. It is now time for one of the most exciting parts of this video, which is actually picking out the 3 colors. Let me begin. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of nervous. I wonder what I'm gonna get. Maybe this, and how about that? Oh wow, this is going to be interesting. As you can see, the colors I got were quite random, and it's going to be hard to create an illustration with these. Specifically, the colors are emerald green, vivid reddish purple, and cool gray. These colors are quite random, so it's going to be hard to create an illustration with them, but isn't that a good thing in a way? Because I'll get to really be creative with what I choose to make with such random and different colors. Let's see what I end up creating. I seriously didn't have any idea of what I was going to be drawing with these colors, so I needed some time to brainstorm and really think out what I was going to do. I ended up going for drawing a wolf in the foreground, surrounded by violet, reddish purple flowers, and green for the leaves and the grass, so that I was using all 3 colors and making it obvious. In the beginning, I was low-key stressed out with what I was gonna be able to do with these colors. For example, I was really hoping to get at least 2 colors that are really similar to each other, like maybe a yellow and an orange or a blue and purple, but that didn't end up happening. I feel like if I had gotten colors that I was hoping to get, it wouldn't have been that much of a challenge anymore, and it wouldn't have been hard either, Since I got colors that I thought were going to be very hard to come up with an idea with, it allowed me to be more creative with my choices and ideas. Whereas if you compare that to if I got the exact colors I was hoping for, I wouldn't have been challenged and I wouldn't have thought that creatively or made anything too unique. I also added a whole bunch of flowers behind the wolf to make contrast between a whole bunch of things in the background and then one big thing in the center. I also just added some detail to the fur, making it have texture. Then I outlined this with my needlepoint pen. The wolf went by pretty quickly, but the lavender flowers were definitely very repetitive to draw, especially their petals, because they were all basically the same shape. But this wasn't actually boring, the lavender flowers, and outlining their petals and stuff. It was actually very therapeutic and relaxing. I moved on to the most interesting part of the process, which is coloring with the colors I was given. I started off with coloring this with a light color for the base coat and building up upon that as I went on with coloring this. I've slowed down this portion of the process just to really show you guys how I was layering this as I went and how it improved as I went on with the drawing. When looking at reference photos, I noticed that wolves tend to have lighter colors to the bottom of their legs. I didn't realize that when doing the base coat. So what I did was I went on with my colorless blender, just applied a lot of that in that entire portion, and then I just colored over that with, I think it was a cool gray, like an extra light gray. That worked pretty well, but something else I did to make it look even better and realistic was use colored pencils on top of the marker. I was surprised by how well the colored pencils managed to layer on top of the marker, because once I did that, it was like unnoticeable that there was gray underneath the white, as you can see at towards the bottom of the legs. I then also used a black colored pencil to make individual lines showing the fur and also some extra shading and shadows. So about the lavender flowers in the background, I did not swatch these colors beforehand, so I just assumed by the cap that that color was a violet, like a purple. Once I applied this marker on paper, I noticed that it was much more red than purple. Now, I had noticed this very late into the drawing, so there wasn't really much I could do about it. I just decided to transform the purple color of the lavenders to more of what the actual color of the marker was, and then I just used a transition shade to blend that all in. Thank goodness that this happened with the flowers though, because if it were something that was naturally only the color purple, it would have been really hard to change the color of it and would have probably ruined this illustration. For example, if I had drawn something like, I don't know, an eggplant, I know that's very random, but okay, it's just an example. If I had drawn an eggplant and then I noticed that the color was actually more red, I couldn't just color an eggplant red. That's just really weird, you know? It was all fine in the end though, and I actually think that I like the reddish color on these flowers more than the purple I had done before. Lastly, I just added in a lighter version of the reddish purple for the background, and I made like this ombre kind of green gradient going on for the grass. I used the colored pencils once again to add more depth and shadows. Underneath the drawing, I just added my signature and the date. I always had the date underneath my pieces of artwork just to look back and see where I was in my art journey at that time. I added the title of this challenge and put the colors I was using at the top of the page, just for the purpose of really letting people who flip through my sketchbook know what I was doing and why I used those colors. Here is the end result of this illustration. I am actually really happy with how this turned out, especially considering that it was a 3-color challenge And the colors that I got were so random and different, and I seriously had no idea of what I was going to be able to create with them. So comparing my mindset at the very start, from the moment I looked at those colors and was worried about whether or not I was even going to be able to achieve this challenge, and looking at what I was actually able to do, it's a wonderful accomplishment and a great feeling of satisfaction to look at. And I'm really happy with how this turned out overall and the appearance of it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you like the artwork I made in it. I will see you guys next Saturday at 6 p.m. CET, so be sure to be there. Goodbye!